I almost started doing this podcast without hitting record on my audio software. Do you imagine that? Recording the whole thing and realizing I'd have to use the camera sound? That'd just be a nightmare. A really bad nightmare. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Honestly Lazy podcast with your host, me, BoyStick, with you today on this, still isolation type stuff. It's not getting better anytime soon, but, what can we do about it? All we gotta do is stay inside, and we will get through this. Just stay inside, and we will overcome this. I'm not even saying it because I can't really say that word. Today, I have water because I've been doing these podcasts and realizing that my mouth gets very, very dry while I'm trying to record. On top of the fact that there's a bunch of stuff like my water pump turning on and off and all that type of stuff while I'm trying to record. But the last thing I need is my mouth dry while I'm trying to record a podcast. Watch, I can take a swig right now. Look at this. Look. If you're watching or listening to this, there's either one or two ways you are watching or listening to this. You're probably watching it on YouTube. Type in the Honestly Lazy podcast and it will pop up with my beautiful face. Or you're watching it on Spotify or listening to it, I guess. On Spotify, type in the Honestly Lazy podcast and it will pop up there. Or Anchor.fm, that's always an option. I don't think a lot of people really use Anchor to listen to anything. I use it to upload to get it on Spotify, but I never use it to listen to the Warren Beer podcast or the Hotter Show or anything like that. But it's still another way to listen to the podcast if you listen to anything on Anchor.fm. It's a great site if you're looking to start up a podcast. It's a good way. It's a good place to actually put it up because it's all free. And God, what a week! I just heard in the news this week that on top of the fact that, cases are getting higher and higher, which to me isn't the biggest surprise. There's also now the news that came out that concerts will not be coming back until fall of 2021, which I saw it on every radio station. They were posting it, and a lot of people are losing their shit. I would be losing my shit a lot more because, that's a terrible thing. I mean, a lot of people in the summer go to concerts. That's pretty much all they do. Me, on the other hand, I was never a big fan of the... Well, let me rephrase that. It's not that I wasn't a big fan of going to concerts in the summertime. I love going to concerts in the summertime. The shitty thing is, all the bands I want to see never come in the summertime. They always go to the States, and they never come to Canada, so I always have to see them when it's minus 40 out, and it's a general admission show, so you gotta run down to the venue in your sweater because you can't bring your winter jacket down there. It's just going to get hot as hell. So you just wear your sweater and you freeze in a lineup until you get inside. Luckily, I usually have a beer jacket on, so it isn't all that bad. But to a lot of people, I can see this being really just really upsetting news because that's what they love to do. They love sitting underneath the stars and watching the band as, stuff goes on as the night or as the sun goes down. I've done it in the summer. It's very rare I actually go to concerts in the summer, like I said, because all my bands usually don't come in the summer. But there's one or two ways to really look at it. One, you sit there and you get pissed off about it. I went through two phases. I got pissed, and then I said, oh, well, when it comes back, there's going to be a lot of concerts, a lot of music festivals. There's a lot of catching up to do, and there's going to be so much to do. Just save your money. At this point, with all this stuff going on, I'd just say save your money, because when everything comes back, oh my God, everything's going to be like fierce. It's going to be insane. And maybe ticket sales will drop because a lot of people will still be scared to go to concerts, and they'll be dirt cheap. I mean, the good thing, though, on top of it, for me, actually, is that I had one concert so far for this year. Well, two, kind of. actually, the one wasn't going to happen anymore, but I had one concert that I actually had tickets for. And that was the Glorious Sons, the one in Peterborough. And of course, that got postponed. That was already supposed to happen, but yeah, it got postponed. And I wasn't too upset about it just because of how serious the COVID stuff actually got. So I was actually kind of relieved that it kind of got canceled just because it was getting pretty risky to actually go to concerts. Like, I was lucky though, because I got to see the Lumineers right before they started canceling shows. And that's where the review came out. Are the Lumineers worth going to see? And of course, they said they were. But I was lucky, because if that happened and that got canceled, I would have been very mad. And the only reason why I would really be mad is because the Lumineers have this, like I said in that podcast, they have this strange thing where they'll do like a year where they go on a big world tour and then they just disappear for 4 years and then they randomly just come back out. So I'm glad I got to see them before all this happened, because I wasn't waiting another 4 years for them to come back out, because they'd probably just do that. I mean, there was one bad thing that kind of happened though. Well, not bad, just kind of a thing that would piss me off. But I'm keeping my tickets anyways, because I have a lot of people who want to go see the Glorious Sun, so I was keeping them. But I haven't looked into it, but well, no, it's been confirmed. I've heard it on the radio and everything. Ticketmaster actually got rid of their refund page or something for shows that are just postponed, so people can't get their money back. Like, if the show's just postponed, I'm pretty sure if it's canceled, you can get your money back. But if it's just postponed, no, you have to just hold on to your ticket. Which, I'm sorry, that if like I said, if that was the Lumineers and I couldn't get my money back, because that's a lot more money than the Glorious Sons, I'd be pretty pissed off about it. And especially with some of the big names, like, tickets can be very expensive, especially if you're in a like Scotiabank arena type setting and you're on the floor. Because those can go up to like $500 or $600, and the show gets postponed, and you say, you know what, screw it, I need that money or something, and Ticketmaster's just like, yeah, no, see, you're gonna have to hold on to those because we don't want to give you your money back. I kind of lose my mind, and I'm not a big fan of Ticketmaster in the first place, because I've heard of them doing shit like this before in the past. And I've never really canceled anything. I just usually just go for it. I've never had to cancel a concert. But like with a lot of stuff, like when Tragically Hip came around, like for their last tour, they sold out immediately, and it was all scalpers and stuff. But like the way I look at Ticketmaster is like, they try their best, but they always somehow fuck up. And it's a terrible way to look at it, but that's the way I'm looking at it as of right now. Like, I go on the band's website and buy tickets through that, which usually sends me to Ticketmaster anyways, but usually I go through different ways before I actually go to Ticketmaster, because I don't know why, I just don't trust Ticketmaster. But this was something that kind of like, that kind of pissed me off, and I'm trying to look at it from both ways. I can understand why people are definitely pissed off about it. I'd be pissed off about it if I was someone who just wanted their money back. But you need to look at it as Ticketmaster as a website too. And the only way I can really look at it from Ticketmaster's point of view is the fact of, there's not going to be concerts until fall of 2021. That means Ticketmaster's literally making no money until fall of 2021, because no one's going out. There's no events. So the only way I can look at it is that they need that money to maybe, I don't know, pay their employees or something like that. I can't really think of a way that can make them look that good. That's the best way I'm looking at it, is that they are saying, they're like, shit, we have to survive until fall of 2021. We need to figure something out to keep some money, and that's what they came up with. It's not the best theory, and like I said, I didn't do any research. I just saw a title on all the radio stations, and I heard it on the radio, and that's what I based it off of. Don't get mad at me and say you didn't do your research. No shit, I'm not. I'm not that interested in it where I'm going to do my research on it. Just accept the fact that this is the Honestly Lazy podcast, and this is where we are lazy as hell, and we like I judge a book by its cover when it comes to radio station news and shit like that. I don't really read articles. I just read the title and say, "Oh, would you look at that?" Because usually everything's in the title. So pretty much the way I look at it is you read the back cover. I never read the actual book. Although with all this stuff going on, I might actually get into reading books because, like, I don't know, it seems like it seems like the best thing to be doing right now. Because, you know, you can only watch so much TV. But that was a perfect way. Just kidding. That was the worst way to go into the next thing. I got a cue card here. If you're watching on YouTube, you see me. You can hear it in the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, you hear that? That's a cue card. And it's, four movies that, or 4 music type movies and shows. Well, I guess there's only one show. But there's 3 movies and 1 show, and I was going to put a 5, so this could be like a top 5 music recommendation type list from your boy Stick, but I couldn't think of a 5th. I'll probably say one once I get to 5, but these are 3 movies and 1 show. Just let me specify. It's going to say 4 movies in the title anyways, but one of them is a show that to me are very unique in their own little ways. And I feel like if you're a really big music junkie or in any way, like just passionate about music, this will be something that you can really watch and enjoy. Well, especially the first one because it's a Canadian one. So if you're Canadian and you're just a music junkie, then this first one's definitely for you. But it's just the way I can describe this list is it's I try to watch a lot of music related stuff. And these 4 I've watched over and over and over again because I love them so much, and because to me they're very unique to what movies or documentaries are all about. So there's 2 documentaries, 1 movie, and 1 TV series that is pretty much like a documentary. All right. Did I confuse the shit out of you? Because I'll probably just keep doing that. But let's just get into this list. And the first one being a long time running. If you don't know this documentary is based on the Tragically Hip. Like I was just literally talking about how Ticketmaster and stuff. This documentary is based on Tragically Hip. Well, not based on. It follows Tragically Hip as Gord Downie does his last venture across Canada for the last time ever with the Tragically Hip. Now, this one is a really big one and very close to, I feel like, a lot of Canadians' hearts because of the fact of this was the last time Gord Downie went across Canada and the fact of how he did it. So I'm going to just explain this to people who don't know, which would be people in America probably who watch my podcast or whatever, or listen to it, and don't know what Tragically Hip are. So just for a little background of them, Tragically Hip is a band from Kingston, Ontario, who turned into pretty much Canada's band. Everybody knew Tragically Hip. Pretty much, like, everybody loved Tragically Hip, and everybody, if they didn't love them, they knew them. And Gord Downie was the front man, a very beautiful poet, beautiful singer, a crazy front man, not in a crazy type of way that you're thinking. He just really loved to dance on the stage. And if you type in Tragically Hip Live anywhere on YouTube and just watch him back in like the 90s or even at Live 8 where I discovered him, he was running around the whole stage just singing and just making just the best of the best with his performance. And this documentary follows him for the last time because I forget how long it's been now. I was 20, so 4 years ago? No, I think I was 21. So 3 years ago, They announced that Gord Downie had brain cancer, and I just remember waking up and watching the morning news before I went to work with my mom, and that came up. Gord Downie had brain cancer. And then at the same time, I was scrolling through Instagram, and Tragically Hip posted a letter saying that Gord Downie had brain cancer, but they will go out on one more tour before with Gord Downie. Which, if like, you need to look at it on how crazy this is. So in the documentary itself, before it actually shows him going on tour, it shows the doctor who did his brain surgery, and he pretty much gave Gord Downie two options. And he said the first option was, we do this and you will live longer, but you'll lose your ability to speak. Or there was number two, where we do this, you won't live as long, but you'll be able to speak still. So that right there already shows you which one he picked. So on top of the fact that you have brain cancer and you just pretty much picked that you know you're not going to last long with, I think he had 5 kids, you now are sitting there with your whole band and you can't remember one lyric. Pretty crazy, right? On top of the fact that you went through a whole summer when you should be at home resting because you have fucking brain cancer. You go across the whole country of Canada playing like 2 nights at every every province, pretty much. And you end it in your small town of Kingston, where a national TV program says we will film it and live stream it for everybody to watch. Where the third of the country actually watched you perform your last show ever. So put all that into it, and then you sit there and watch this documentary. On top of the fact that now that you're watching this documentary, Gord Downie has actually passed away from brain cancer. And that was the shittiest thing about me with this documentary, is that they showed a trailer for it, and they put it in the theaters, and me and a bunch of people who were the big Tragically Hip fans were going to go to the theaters and watch it. Never ended up going. And then the day that I actually watched it was the day he passed away. The day he passed away, the station that actually put on or filmed the whole thing, the whole show, put the concert back on, the whole 3.5 hours, might I add, with brain cancer and not knowing the lyrics. 3.5 hours he played for 6,000 people in a third of a country. 6,000 people in the arena and a third of the country. And then they showed the documentary in honor of Gord Downie. And it was really hard to watch. Like, what is there to really say? It was hard to watch. I loved it. It's one that I've watched over and over and over again, because if anything, to me, this documentary shows what Gord Downie could do and what he proved to the world that he could do, even though he had brain cancer, and how it wasn't going to stop him. He was just an amazing guy, and the documentary really, really, really does show how amazing of a guy he is, and how even when he has brain cancer and all this stuff, how positive he is to go on tour. Why? And when you watch the last show, he's dressed in these very crazy looking outfits, and he says, I made these outfits so people would forget that I had brain cancer and just watch the show. And it's also really hard to watch the documentary, because at this point the tour was over when they did when they sat down and interviewed him to talk about the tour and stuff, and you can just tell he's just so run down. He just looks like he got the shit kicked out of him, and he just looks tired, and it's not the Gord Downie that everyone knew, but If you want to watch a documentary that just proves what one man did, that's the one I definitely recommend. Is long time running. I don't want to spoil too much of it. You just need to go watch it, just because you see him play in every city, and you see how much work he really put in to put on the show, and how the work is like when I watched the 3.5 hours the night the live show, I watched the whole thing. I stayed home. I was drinking all day because I went golfing. I just stayed up and watched it, half tanked. I don't think I could have watched it sober. Jesus, I would have been bawling. I didn't bawl sober or drunk though, thank God, because I would have just been soft. No, it's not soft. It was still hard to watch, but when you see the documentary and how hard it was for him backstage to get to like switch it up and get everything ready, or like, you know, just how much work he was, or I guess how much energy he was putting in and stuff. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of energy, and you have brain cancer. Like that could drop you and make you seizure in a heartbeat. And that's what they were really worried about throughout the whole tour, which my dumbass never thought of. But I'll just stop it right there because I got 4 more. But you should, if you're Canadian or you just want to learn about a Canadian band and you're from the States, I'm pretty sure you could even find long time running the whole documentary on YouTube. The next one is an older one. I'm pretty sure this documentary was from the 70s, but it's a documentary called Heart-Worn Highways. This one is a totally different kind of one. I actually stumbled onto this documentary by accident just through the wormhole of YouTube, but I really like this documentary because it kind of shows the other side of trying to make it as a country singer. It features guys like Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt. I think that's his name. Yeah, Townes Van Zandt. Steve Earle's in it when he was very young. It looks like he didn't even have Guitar Town out yet, or Guitar Town was just out, and he was hanging around with all these guys. I'm pretty sure it has a guy named Steve Young, David Allan Coe, Zach Brown Band. It has a bunch of different kind of people in it. And pretty much the whole thing just shows them playing guitars. It's like the 2 different ways people are making it in Nashville. Or 3, actually. Or there might be 4 different ways. I'll explain it all in a sec. So, the way I can really say is how the movie even starts off is it shows pictures and stuff, and it shows the intro of people. And Guy Clark is playing LA Freeway, which at this point, when I found this documentary, I had no clue who Guy Clark was. I had no clue who Steve Young was. I think that was his name. I had no clue who Townes Van Zandt was. I had no clue who any of these guys were. And I discovered it through just the wormhole of YouTube. I was looking up like outlaw country type stuff, and there was like, it looked like a home video of Steve Earle sitting around this big table, people, homemade wine all around the table and bottles of Jack Daniels, and Steve Earle's in the corner, and they say film this song, and he's playing the Mercenary song. And I was like, what the hell is this? And in the description it said from documentary Heart-Worn Highways, or Heart-Worn Highways. I feel like I'm saying warm, but it's worn. So it starts out with Steve, like with Guy Clark. It looks like he's just playing LA Freeway from his kitchen. And I was like, what the hell? And then it cut, and he just sits there and he finishes the song, grabs a smoke. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. And then it cuts to a studio where a guy's cutting a song, and it shows them making a song. This guy with the harmonica player and his whole band and all that. So it kind of shows how Guy Clark is just kind of relaxing, just making music. And then there's guys in the studio working hard. And then there's David Allan Coe in it, who's driving his own tour bus to prison to play shows for inmates, which was kind of like the outlaw thing to do. Johnny Cash did it, and I didn't even know David Allan Coe did it. Steve Earle had to do it because he got busted, and so there's like that side of it where David Allan Coe's driving his own tour bus, and what you see while you're on the road, it has this one guy playing. I think the song's called Alabama Highways. And it shows like accidents and him just driving in all different kinds of weather as he's trying to get from show to show. And then it shows Charlie Daniels band, where they're in a, looks like a gym, and they sold it out. And they're supposed to be the big band, right? Which back then that'd be a big show, I guess. But nowadays, like, you sell out a fucking gym, whoop-de-doo. That's the Phoenix in Toronto type deal. But it was just kind of a cool way, and the music that they're playing in it is really good. It's like some of the best storytelling and just some of the best writing that I've ever even heard. And I found it in a documentary where they follow Towns Van Zandt, where that's another side of, like, you know, how people are living when they're trying to make it. And Towns Van Zandt, which is a very good songwriter, is living in a trailer just drinking Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and shooting a pellet gun. And he's like, and he apparently took the show, from what Steve Earle said, because Guy Clark and all of them didn't really want the documentary crew around. So they sent him out to meet Towns Van Zandt to think that Towns would scare him off. And he just did a performance like, you know, he loved the camera and all that. It's just a cool documentary altogether. Like there's one scene where you watch a guy actually fix a buddy's guitar, like get it back so he could play it good. And I love that scene. I don't know what the hell it is about that scene. Watching Guy Clark work on that guitar makes me want to learn how to fix guitars and just do it for fun. It just looks like a fun little hobby, fucking around with guitars, because like Andy says, you know, you fuck around with it. Well, he doesn't say fuck around, but he says you screw around, or the more that you fix it, you can make it sound how you want, and that's like his own little hobby, I guess, is what it was. And so that was really good. And he was trying to fucking so he was trying to do that, and it's just a cool scene for me. I don't know what the hell it was, but I've watched that scene over and over again. Him just working on a guitar, smoking a cigarette. I just find it fascinating. And there's this guy, Rodney, I think his name was. I forget his last name, but he has a song called Bluebird Wine, and he plays in it. And that song actually made me want to write a song with the same type of rhythm. Not even close to what this song is about. Totally different, but just the same type of fast pace. And probably if you heard them side by side, it would be the exact same song. But I'm not trying to even make it anywhere. I just like writing songs. And that's one thing that whole documentary really wants me to do. Like the vibe of everybody hanging out in a kitchen, smoking and drinking. And just the songs that they're playing that they wrote themselves just amp me way up to actually start making my own music even more. And I write here and there. I don't really take writing as serious, but if I get inspired, I fucking go. But if you want to watch just different type of lifestyles as musicians live, I would recommend this, because it shows literally everything from just hanging out to being in the studio to being on tour to just doing a sold out show. It literally has everything and every type of concept for a music junkie like myself. And I would recommend it to anybody who kind of likes the documentaries and likes that. It definitely feels like just, you know, buddies filming a bunch of people just recording or just making music. And I love that about this documentary. The feel, the color, the old grainy look, which it was in the 70s. So obviously it's going to be an old grainy look. But it just worked so well for this. And I would like recommend it. But I will say one thing. I guarantee you this won't be for everyone. It's like, I don't know what the hell it is with me. And it's going to be very different for people to really get into. And I got a feeling some people won't fuck with it at all. But I definitely did. So that was number two, Heartworn Highway documentary. And number three, something totally different. It's an actual movie. And I've had battles with people about this movie, because some people thought, it wasn't that good. But to me, there was so much more to it. Maybe because I went to school for film or something like that. But I looked at it, and I had very low hopes for it, and it blew me out of the water. And that's The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie. And I'm going to tell you why I had such low hopes for this movie straight from the get-go. And then, well, that's like pretty much after that, you'll maybe be like, oh, I agree. Or you'll be like, you're a fucking idiot. Which is fine. Call me an idiot all you want. Sorry. Oh, hang on. Call me an idiot all you want. I just, I'm just saying. The Dirt, I just need to say, I'll just tell you why I had such low expectations. There was a few reasons why The Dirt had low expectations for me. First off, the actors in it. I didn't know any of the actors besides MGK, and before I saw MGK in that, I'm pretty sure I saw him in that show Roadies, and I thought, this dude ain't that good of an actor, and he's playing Tommy Lee in a movie. So I was like, how good could this be? Second thing, the actors were the big things. I didn't know any of them, and I think a lot of them were from SNL. I know Peter Davison, or whatever the fuck his name is. I never really know his name. I know he is a part of Saturday Night Live, but I didn't really know anybody else in it, so I was like, okay, unknown actors, that seems sketchy. The next thing was Jeff Tremaine was directing it. If you don't know who Jeff Tremaine is, he is the director of Jackass, so I was like, well, what filming experience does he really have, or cinematography experience does he really have, when all he has to do is point a camera, hit action, and watch someone get hurt and say, we got the shot. And, the retakes in Jackass is they just keep getting hurt doing the exact same stunt over and over again. You don't have to move the camera, don't have to relight anything. I don't think. Especially back in the first one, when it was literally just VXs and them fucking with random people. That was some low budget shit. So that was already like, this is looking pretty sketchy. And then there was the fact that it was Motley Crue. I've never been a fan of Motley Crue in the first place. Honestly, I never thought Vince was a very good singer. The thing that kept the band really good was Mick Mars on guitar. Mick Mars was a very good guitar player and kept that band fucking rolling, because without him, that band would have went to shit. The lyrics were like, they were just simple lyrics to me, just talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So those are pretty much the reasons why I was like, oh, this movie's going to suck. But first of all, MGK's acting was amazing. I couldn't believe that guy actually is that good of an actor. He definitely got better since Roadies. And he's definitely taken the craft of acting more seriously than I've ever seen him take it before. And that'd probably offend him, but I don't care, because who am I to him? He has money and I don't. Jeff Tremaine, with some of the shots that he had in this movie, it was just amazing. Like the scene when they introduce how Nikki Sixx was hooked to heroin. They show a girl come in, and he's saying they're like just the black backdrop, and you see her come around, and she gives him a needle instead, and he's saying like, I fell in love with a girl, and then blah blah blah, and then it turns out to be heroin. But I thought it was a pretty unique way of showing it in its glory of them playing or doing him doing heroin. So I thought that was really good. And you know what, the pace of the movie was good. I'm glad they didn't make like a 2-hour movie like a lot of them do make the biographies about bands or rappers or musicians or whoever. I'm glad it was like only an hour and a half, and they got their points through. They got the story told. They showed, like, the party scenes. I think they did a good job with the party scenes. The scene with Ozzy Osbourne, which if everybody knows pretty much this movie, and if you don't, there's a scene with Ozzy Osbourne where his shit is fucking crazy. And there was just a lot to it. Like, the pace was good. The script was actually fucking good. Even when they were like talking to the camera, like, oh, this never happened, or this we did do this, and they were like just breaking the fourth wall and telling a bit more of the story. I thought that would bug me, and it actually didn't. I was actually, for some reason, that works with this movie. And yeah, it was just a good paced movie, and all in all, just a good movie. So, and coming from a guy who's not a fan of Motley Crue, and I like this movie, I mean, Even if you're not a fan of Motley Crue, just give this movie a chance because I got a feeling that you will like it. And number 4 being a Crave series show, and it is called Tales from the Tour Bus. Now, let me tell you, if you like hearing the fucked up party stories from bands like I have, like literally watching the party scenes, if you like hearing fucked up stories about real life country singers, like the first season's all country singers, the second season has Rick James in it, so I think they changed it up. But the whole first season is what I've watched. I gotta watch the second season. But if you want to hear the most, like just the stories of the most crazy outlaw country singers, this is the show for you. First of all, the whole thing's cartoon, and it was created by the guy who created King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead. So it's already a win-win because that guy doesn't do anything bad. And it just follows the most insane country singers that ever lived. With one of them being two episodes being my favorite country singer, Waylon Jennings. That's insane. And the stories about Waylon are insane. And in the first season, I think more than half this people in it literally shot somebody. It has people like Billy Joel Shaver, who wrote Honky Tonk Heroes for Waylon Jennings. Also has, who else does it have in there? Billy Joel Shaver. Johnny Paycheck. That guy was just fucking nuts. George Jones, who, when you watch George Jones 2-parter, you start learning shit about him where you're like, that guy might have been kind of actually insane. Let's just say, and you need to watch it to understand, let's just say The Old Man and the Duck is the most weird thing I've ever seen anybody do, and it was all because of drugs. So, like, the stories that they tell, like these guys were the reason why music came to, or is what it is. And their personalities made it what it is. They didn't take shit from anybody. If they didn't get paid, I'm not joking, in one episode, one of them blew up the back of a barn because he didn't get paid. They were drunk, like they had they lived hard lives, and like this show literally tells the stories of their hard living, and like it's like and how they overcame it. Because believe it or not, I don't know about Jerry Lee Lewis, but like all of them were sober before they died. And Jerry Lee Lewis is still alive. I know. I just don't know if he's sober. I can see that guy still being fucking nuts. This dude married his cousin. All right? That's fucked. But like George Jones, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Paycheck, and Billy Joel Shavers lived a hard life, did a bunch of drugs, and the only thing is Waylon Jennings is my favorite country singer, and the one thing I just need to accept is I'll never hear all the stories. I got his biography, I gotta read it, but there's a guy who's in his episode that they asked him, like, well, you gotta write a book about what you did with Waylon, and he said, not until my mom dies. So it's like, how bad did he really get? And there's some bad stories in his episode. Like when him and his drummer did Atlanta Dog, which is heroin and PCP and cocaine. Well, no, it's just the first two, and then they had cocaine on top of it before they did a show. Just, you gotta listen to the outcome of that. And how big Waylon was everywhere he went. And then there was people like Billy Joel Shaver, and then like George Jones was just an alcoholic cokehead who just fucking went insane. Billy Joel Shaver hung out with Willie and Waylon, and they just fed him drugs to experiment and see what the outcome would be. Like, it's just a fucked up show of the most crazy human beings to be in music. And I really hope there'd be a third season, because I think there's only 2 in there right now. But it's definitely a show if you like just hearing crazy party stories from like musicians and shit. You gotta check out this show. Just get a Crave subscription. I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the internet for free, but get a free trial for a month. and check out this show because it is definitely worth a watch because I've already watched the first episode twice and I'm waiting for the next one, next season. I really don't have a 5 here, but I'll just list off ones that you can just watch. Notorious, based on the story of Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls. I would say All Eyes on Me, and my card went full, so this screen is now dark. So here's what I'm going to do. Walk the Line. I don't know. What the hell else is there? There's a Walk the Line. I don't know. If you know any... if you know any movies that I haven't listed, leave them in the comments down below. All music related, though. I want to watch music related movies because I don't know, I just love hearing about musicians. So if you want me to check out a movie, leave in the comments down below and I will check it out. And that will do it for this episode of the podcast because you can't see me anymore because my card's full on my camera. So rookie mistake on my part, but fuck it. So, yeah, if you like this podcast, please leave a like on this video. And let me know if you want more videos like this or more episodes of the podcast like this. And make sure to subscribe and follow on Spotify just so you know when every episode will be up. And, yeah, until next time, yeah, I hope you guys like this. Check out all those shows, and I'll see you later.